Well, I grew up in a small village in the Essex countryside, about 60 kilometers north of London. It was 1992, and I was 12 years old, and my dad cut out an article from a newspaper, and it said that that night you could see the planet Mars with the naked eye. Now, as a 12-year-old, I was absolutely amazed by this, very, very excited. So that night, as soon as it got dark, my dad and I went out into the garden to try and see it. I'll never forget the first sight that we saw when we looked up at the stars. I'd never really looked at the stars before, and it was absolutely beautiful. Thousands of stars, it seemed like, all different colors. So how are we going to know which one was Mars? Well, fortunately, this newspaper article had included a handy map for us to look at, and it had the constellations on it, funny shapes in the stars with odd Latin names. But that didn't really help because there was no real waypoint to go from. But we made a breakthrough quite soon because my dad noticed something he recognized, and that was a group of 7 bright stars in the shape of a saucepan. He called it the plough. And the 2 right-hand side stars of the plough point directly up to the North Pole star, Polaris, which lies directly above the North Pole of the Earth, and all the other stars rotate around it once per day. So we had a waypoint on the map that we could follow, and we followed the map across the arc of the sky, and finally we saw a bright, glowing orange orb. It was unmistakable, and that was the planet Mars. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'll never forget that first time we looked up at Mars. It was a wonderful experience to have between a parent and a child. And I was reflecting back on this experience recently with my dad, and I said, "Dad, how did you know about this group of 7 bright stars called the Plough?" And he revealed something I'd never known. I'd never spoken to him about it. But apparently, he used to look at the stars with his dad when he was young. And very sadly, I never knew my granddad. He died when I was a baby, but it was wonderful that we had this kind of cosmic connection, if you will. I got to know my granddad's love of astronomy through my father that was passed down through the generations. And furthermore, I guess where did my granddad get that love from? Was it from his parents or his grandparents? So I was interested to know how far that cosmic thread was woven through our family's history. Because astronomy is all about history. It allows us to study our history, our past. In fact, it's a form of time travel, because by looking at the stars, we are literally looking back through time. Because all the information that we receive from space travels to us at the speed of light, the unbreakable cosmic speed limit, 300,000 kilometers per second. So when you look up at the sun, the light that you see now left the surface of the sun 8 minutes ago. And when you look at the very nearest star to us, Proxima Centauri, we see the light today that left that star's surface 4.2 years ago. And when we look at the nearest galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy, we see the light that's traveled to us for 2 million years through our universe. So when you look at Andromeda, you see it as it was when our ape-like ancestors, Homo habilis, were roaming the surface of the Earth.